There is a food that has been called the staff of life for thousands of years.
It is perhaps the most comforting food. We toast it for breakfast.
We use it to make
Per se. We have been told that whole grain bread is the foundation of a healthy diet.
But for the aging body, bread is not a staff of life. It is a metabolic wrecking ball.
Modern bread is not the bread of our ancestors. It has been engineered.
It is a delivery vehicle for a specific type of starch called amylopectin A. It spikes your blood sugar faster and higher than a tablespoon of pure white sugar.
High blood sugar acts like shards of glass inside your arteries, scratching the delicate lining.
It turns your blood into a sticky syrup that is prone to clotting, leading to the shrinkage of the hippocampus, the memory center.
In this comprehensive video, we are going to dismantle the myth of healthy bread.
Before we dive in, hit that button.
Part 1. The amylopectin, a disaster. To understand why bread is dangerous, you have to look at it under a microscope. Beans contain amylose, tight and hard to digest. Wheat contains amylopectin A. It has a massive surface area. Digestive enzymes can attack it from all sides at once.
It breaks down into glucose instantly, before you even swallow it.
For a senior, our cells stop opening the door for insulin.
So the sugar stays in the blood.
Causing glycation, sugar molecules bind to proteins in your artery walls.
It makes red blood cells stiff, so they cannot squeeze through tiny capillaries. Part 2. The worst offender proteins like white sandwich bread. The classic soft white sandwich bread found in plastic bags. The bran and germ have been removed, leaving only pure starch.
To make it bright white, manufacturers use bleaching agents. Chlorine dioxide.
It creates a byproduct called alloxin. Alloxin is a very specific toxin.
Scientists use alloxan to induce diabetes in rats because it destroys the beta cells.
Eating bleached flour every day places a toxic stress on the pancreas.
For a senior, adding a chemical that targets pancreatic cells is biological suicide.
White bread has zero structural integrity. It provides no resistance to digestion.
It creates reactive hypoglycemia. Your blood sugar spikes, then crashes.
This crash triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol, triggering a fight or flight response, leaving you hypertensive.
This next bread breaks hearts because we think it's healthy. Part 3.
Part 3. The Great Deception. Whole wheat bread. The glycemic index of whole wheat bread is almost identical to white bread. Whole wheat bread spikes blood sugar faster than a spoonful of sugar. Because the flour has still been pulverized into a microscopic dust. The fiber is not enough to slow down the avalanche of amylopectin A. But there is a second danger. Wheat germ agglutinin, or WGA.
WGA is a lectin, a plant defense protein, a toxin to discourage predators.
It is highly inflammatory, specifically to the gut lining and the cardiovascular system.
Research suggests that WGA can bind to the insulin receptors on your cells.
It acts like gum in the lock, preventing the insulin key from working.
This mimics insulin resistance.
Whole wheat bread delivers a double blow: the massive sugar spike and the insulin blockade.
For a senior, this is a disaster waiting to happen.
Walk down the aisle and you will see breads labeled multigrain. Part 4.
Part 4. The marketing trap, Pecadux, multigrain and 7-grain.
They look rustic, but this is often a marketing trick.
Most are simply white bread with caramel color added to make them look brown.
Read the ingredients. The first one is almost always enriched wheat flour.
Enriched wheat flour is just a code name for white flour.
They stripped out nutrients and then enriched it by spraying synthetic vitamins back onto it.
So you are getting the same metabolic damage as white bread.
Furthermore, the seeds are often unsoaked and unsprouted.
Seeds contain phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that binds to minerals. Binds to magnesium, zinc, and calcium, preventing you from absorbing them.
Magnesium is the mineral that relaxes your arteries. You are eating a food that actively steals nutrients from your system.
The fourth bread is a treat. Part 5, the sweet poison. Part 5, the sweet poison, raisin and cinnamon swirl. Raisins are dried grapes. They are concentrated sugar bombs.
Combine glucose from wheat with fructose from raisins.
This same reaction happens inside your body, just much slower, forming advanced glycation end products, or AGEs.
They make your skin wrinkle. They make your joints stiff.
Most importantly, they make your arteries brittle. Arteries need to be elastic like a rubber band, not stiff like toast. If they become stiff, the risk of a rupture stroke increases.
Eating sweet breads is literally accelerating the aging process.
You are caramelizing your own arteries from the inside out.
We cannot talk about bread
without talking about gluten. Part 6. Part 6. The gut-brain connection. Gluten and zonulin.
Gluten was dismissed as a problem only for celiac. But it affects every single human being.
Gluten contains a protein called gliadin. When gliadin hits the lining, it triggers the release of a molecule called zonulin. Zonulin is the gatekeeper of your gut lining. Zonulin tells these tight junctions to open up.
When you eat gluten, your gut becomes permeable. This is leaky gut.
Toxins, bacteria, and undigested food particles flood into the bloodstream.
Your immune system launches an attack. This causes systemic inflammation.
This inflammation travels to the brain.
Root cause of brain fog, depression, and neurodegenerative diseases.
Inflammation is the trigger that makes plaque unstable, causing it to rupture. By eating gluten daily, you are keeping your immune system in a state of panic.
Young bodies can repair the damage faster. Seniors cannot.
If bread is so bad, why is it so hard to give up? Part 7.
Part 7. The addiction why you crave it. Because it acts like a drug. It breaks down into small protein fragments called gluteomorphins.
These compounds are structurally similar to morphine and opioids.
They cross the blood-brain barrier.
And bind to the opioid receptors in your brain.
This releases dopamine. It makes you feel calm, sedated, and happy.
This is why bread is the ultimate comfort food.
For a senior dealing with loneliness or pain, this chemical comfort is powerful. But it is a trap. The high is followed by inflammation.
It is not just about willpower. It is about breaking a chemical dependency.
The craving is not hunger. It is your brain crying out for its opioid fix. You might be wondering, do I never eat bread again? Part 8. Part 8. The alternatives. The ancient bread protocol. You must return to the methods of the past. Process the grain to destroy anti-nutrients and degrade gluten.
Alternative 1, true sourdough.
Sourdough is not a flavor, it is a process.
Made using wild yeast and a long fermentation process.
During this fermentation, the bacteria eat the sugar,
producing lactic acid, which gives the bread its sour taste. The glycemic index is significantly lower. It does not spike your blood sugar. The process degrades the gluten, making it less damaging.
It also breaks down the phytates, allowing you to absorb minerals.
However, you must be careful. Most sourdough in the supermarket is fake.
It is just white bread, with vinegar or sour flavoring added.
If it has yeast, sugar, or oil, it is not real sourdough.
Alternative 2. Sprouted grain bread. Made from grains allowed to sprout before being ground into flour.
When a grain sprouts, it changes from a starch into a vegetable.
The sprouting process activates enzymes that break down the starch.
It must be kept frozen. This is a good sign.
If your bread sits for 2 weeks without molding, it is dead food. Real food rots.
Alternative 3. Rye and pumpernickel. Rye fiber is different. It is incredibly dense and viscous.
It slows down digestion significantly, preventing the insulin spike.
If you are going to eat bread, you must follow the safety protocol. Part 9. Part 9. The safety protocol. How to eat bread.
Rule 1. Never eat naked bread.
Never eat bread by itself.
Fat and protein slow down gastric emptying. They act as a brake.
Put avocado on your toast. Put a poached egg on it. Dip it in olive oil.
The fat coats the starch molecules, flattening the glucose curve.
Rule 2. The freezer trick.
There is a hack called retrogradation. The starch becomes resistant starch. It acts like fiber. It resists digestion and travels to the colon, where it feeds your good bacteria.
Freezing and toasting can lower the blood sugar response by up to 30%.
So always keep your bread in the freezer and always toast it.
Rule 3. The walking rule.
If you eat a sandwich, you must move.
Your muscles are the best place to put that sugar. When muscles contract, they pull glucose out without needing as much insulin. This prevents the sugar from sitting in your blood and causing glycation.
For seniors strictly managing diabetes. Part 10. The low-carb alternatives.
Part 10. The low-carb alternatives.
Breads made from almond flour, coconut flour, or flaxseed meal.
These breads have almost zero impact on blood sugar.
Almond flour is high in healthy fats and vitamin E, which protects the arteries.
Flaxseed bread is loaded with omega-3 fatty acids,
which thin the blood naturally and prevent clots, and that's developing clots.
These breads are dense and filling. You cannot eat half a loaf. And
One slice satisfies you.
Conclusion: the bread of life versus the bread of disease.
the transition away from modern wheat is hard. It is woven into our culture.
But the evidence is undeniable.
The bread we eat today is not the bread of the Bible or our ancestors.
It is a product of industrial chemistry designed to be addictive. It drives the three horsemen: inflammation, insulin resistance, and vascular stiffness.
You have the power to choose. You can choose the fluffy white slice that spikes your sugar and clouds your brain.
Or choose the dense, fermented, nutrient-rich slice that feeds your body.
Or leave the bread basket untouched and fill your plate with greens and proteins.
Your health is built one meal at a time.
Do not let a sandwich steal your independence.
Protect your blood sugar. Protect your gut. And protect your brain.
Now I would love to hear from you. Is bread a major part of your diet?
Have you noticed feeling tired or bloated after eating a sandwich?
Have you ever tried sourdough or sprouted bread?
Share your experience below. Your story helps others navigate nutrition.
If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment with 1.
If not, type 0. I value your honest feedback.
And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.
Dedicated to protecting your brain, your heart, and your future.
Thank you for watching, and take care of yourself.